Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
And you're watching Tesla Time News.
Episode 89.
On Now You Know. So last week, Jesse and I were up in Montreal, and I want to give a huge shout out to Evoto. And if you're ever in Montreal and you need to rent a car, I suggest you look into Evoto. They rent Teslas. Mm-hmm. Super cool.
Now, I want to take this a little bit deeper here because we talked to a Evoto customer who got a Tesla Model S delivered to him in Ottawa, Canada. He then drove that Model S all the way to Missouri. He then watched the solar eclipse, the total solar eclipse. Right. And then drove all the way home.
Yeah, he had it for a week.
Yeah, this is not just some Montreal, like, rent it while you're in the city kind of thing. You can go for road trips.
That's right. Yeah, and they got a special rate because they mentioned our name.
Right. So I really, really encourage you to check them out. Sobi is one of the most, like, detail-oriented, friendly people you will ever meet. He is a wealth of knowledge about Montreal. He knows every place to eat.
Think about this. You rent a car normally and you get just someone behind the counter.
You have to go to a counter. You have to talk to someone. You have to sign some papers.
Here's your keys.
Here, with Evoto, they come and they deliver the car to wherever you happen to be, the airport, your house. Right. I mean,
their website is
insane.
Full of interesting places to go to dinner and sites to see, and they'll help you figure out where to go and what to do. Like it's like having your own concierge service.
Right, and they're there to help you understand how to work with a Tesla and stuff like that. Max is fantastic. I've heard he's picked up cars at the middle of the night. Yeah. You get the car and it's clean, and it's washed.
And get this, the event that Evoto put on, they paid thousands of dollars to get this spot, and that you're seeing here, and they paid for the food, and it was all free. And this was all just for one purpose, and that was to get people in the Model 3. So, I mean, think about how special this company is. They care about electric transportation. They care about sustainability.
And so their heart is in the right place, and that means so much to us. So I really encourage you to head over there and check it out because, I mean, there would have been pretty much no other way for us to show. I think we showed, like 150 people a Model 3 in Montreal in the span of a few hours. We could not have set that up or done that without Evoto. So just such a huge thank you and shout out to you guys because you rock.
So remember, Jesse, about a month ago, we were at the Uniti headquarters in Lund, Sweden, and we met the CEO and had a cool interview and so forth. But at the time, their prototype was not running.
Yes. Now they actually have some footage of it driving around, and it looks fantastic. Also, I would like to point out, if you use the link down the doobly-doo, you can also see part of our interview. So they actually interviewed us while we were there, which is
so nice of them.
So nice of them. And you can go check that out. I highly encourage you to head over to their channel and subscribe. Their YouTube channel, they have a YouTube channel just like us.
Yeah, and you get all the updates about the company.
So I think it's really cool. You guys should head over there and check them out.
All right, this is called Tesla Time News for a reason, Jesse. We're talking about the Tesla Model 3, and Elon just tweeted, he's confirmed that the new dual-motor Model 3 vehicle are equipped with front AC induction motors to complement the switched reluctance partial permanent magnetic motor at the rear. So parse this for me. So there's two different kinds of motors?
Two different kinds of motors, one in the front, one in the rear. We're used to having two motors in, say, like the Model S, the Model X, and they were slightly different because they were just geared differently. But in this case, yeah, they're using a completely different type of motor from the rear. This is probably to give you a little bit better range. They're slating that it's the same range as the long-range battery rear-wheel drive, but keep in mind that you're adding a whole bunch of weight, and so that front motor can kind of kick in when you're at higher speeds, and that rear motor is there for power to get you up to speed. Still, it has a better 0 to 60 acceleration time of 4.5 seconds, top speed of 140 miles an hour, and an additional price of $5,000 for the all-wheel drive option. So
we met a lot of people up in Canada who are waiting for that all-wheel drive option. Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
Also announced was the performance version of the Model 3. It will come with a carbon fiber spoiler, 20-inch performance wheels, a black and white interior options. It'll be 15% quicker than a BMW M3 with better handling that will beat anything in its class on the track.
Wow. Yeah, it's going to have the same range, he said, of 310 miles. It'll have a 0 to 60 acceleration of 3.5 seconds, top speed of 155 miles per hour, and the price without autopilot will be $78,000.
This is getting into the Model S range of price.
But I do want to point out, a base Model S is $74,500. This is a fully tricked out, except without autopilot, for $78,000. And I'm going to start to argue here that this is probably the better way to go because you're getting so much more for so less money.
It's true. I mean, I think that there's kind of a balancing act here, and really the biggest difference will be price and preference. I mean, do you want a bigger car, bigger luxury feeling kind of car, or do you want something a little bit smaller, a little bit tighter feeling? But dang, a 3.5 0 to 60 with a Model 3 handling, let me tell you, the handling is superb.
Awesome. Yeah.
It's going to be pretty hard to beat that.
Yeah. Well, let's give the Model X some love. I mean, It's been a while since we've talked about the Model X, and there's some pretty cool things that came out this week. The first is this one. Model X P100D made a new Guinness World Record this week by an electric production passenger vehicle by pulling a Qantas Boeing 787-9 Dreamliner. Now, that is because it has 9,500 Newton meters of wheel torque.
Yeah. This is a big plane.
Yeah, let me tell you how big it is. Dry weight, that's with nobody in it. It weighs 284,000 pounds or 128,000 kilograms. It's rated at 5,000 pounds towing, but it's towing 284,000 pounds.
Yeah, that's a big difference. So,
No.
I mean, I guess if you were like worried about towing a trailer or something like that, maybe you are a little bit less worried now.
Don't worry.
I would imagine, unless you're towing a bigger plane than the 787. I don't know, what, a C-130 or something like that?
And just to give you some idea, a Tesla Model X can produce torque of 660 Newton meters, but a Ford Explorer has only 346 Newton meters. So we're talking about twice that of a regular SUV.
Right.
Not only that, but the Model X has one of the most impressive achievements for an SUV. It's rollover probability. Now explain this to me. What are we seeing here in this video?
So they're trying to flip over a Model X, right? They're launching it sideways into sand, which usually would spell flipping over multiple times, right?
Yeah, and they tried multiple times and they couldn't get it to flip.
At different speeds. Yeah, they tried to flip it over, but again, it's low center of gravity, very low center of gravity, just kept flipping it back over onto all four wheels.
It has the lowest rollover probability of any SUV.
That is something that doesn't get talked about a lot.
No.
The fact that you just can't roll it over. It's like a Weeble wobble. I mean, Weebles and wobbles, but it doesn't fall down. Like, it can't flip over. Look at it. It's literally a Weeble wobble.
And while we're talking about the Model X, I mean, it can't wobble and it can pull so much, but also it can do this.
Yeah, here it is in a canal in Amsterdam.
Yeah, don't do this with your Model X.
Right.
This was a mistake.
But it's floating.
Yeah.
You'll notice I've watched a lot of Mythbusters. And in Mythbusters, they drive cars into water or they drop it into water. And the cars sink so quickly.
Yep.
The car
you
flips.
just have seconds to get out.
Right. The engine is so heavy that the car flips forward and it just nosedives, then it goes upside down. Here, the Model X is just floating in this canal. Just floating. It's perfectly content. The driver was able to escape the car before it started to sink. It took many minutes for the car to sink, and the windows were above the waterline, which means that he was able to roll down the window and climb out.
And if for some reason you can't, look at this. When it gets to final submerge, the Falcon Wing doors open automatically.
Right. This is
the story of a girl.
Just something, again, and the center of gravity keeps it balanced, so it's not flipping upside down, even though it fell off a canal. It's not like it drove into the water from a beach or something. Fell off a canal and still was able to right itself. Again, center of gravity.
It's
Weeble
Weeble Wobble. It's like the tub sub.
What?
Have you seen the tub sub? Oh, yes, sirree. It's going in the water where a tub sub should be.
The Weeble Wobble tub sub.
It's before my time.
You brought up the Weeble Wobbles. Know your Weeble Wobbles, son.
I know the thing because everyone always says it. So 3 experts have recently announced that coal is going away faster than we predicted even just a year ago.
Yeah, Bruce Hamilton, a director of Navigant, he said the real story, I believe, is in coal retirements. He projects that 73 gigawatts will retire in the next 10 years. He said that's more than twice what we projected last year at this time. But more importantly, the fundamentals of the economics of coal have gotten worse, with costs going up, while the competition for coal, that is gas, wind, and solar, have all gotten gotten cheaper. So it's getting to the point where huge swings are forecast. You can see it will be throughout the decade.
It's not just that they're predicting a drop in coal, right? They're predicting it way more than they did the year before,
Right.
which means that they didn't know what they were talking about last year because they weren't taking things into account.
And it means they don't know what they're talking about this year. I mean, I'm not to say anything against them. They're experts and they've got to use charts and so forth. But when you get into this point where a year ago you were off by a factor of 2, that means that you're getting into a territory of a curve that you just can't foresee. It's exponential.
So, I mean, that means that, maybe they think that they're off by a factor of 2 this year, but maybe they're off this year by, again, a factor of 2.
Right.
We don't know how fast we're going to drop coal just because the prices of coal are going up and the prices of renewables are going down.
Right.
It's fantastic.
And this isn't just one expert.
Right.
I mean, we've got Max Cohen. He's an IHS market analyst. He said our outlook includes about 100 gigawatts of coal retirements. That's about a third of the fleet. And then Dan Shreve of Make Consulting expects 80 to 90 gigawatts of coal retiring in the next 10 years. So they're all in basically the same spot, saying that they're doubling their estimate from last year.
This could mean the end of coal within the end of the decade because, I mean, they're saying a third of the fleet this year when they said a sixth of the fleet last year.
Exactly.
As things continue to change, as solar and wind continue to get cheaper and coal continues to get more expensive, obviously people are going to be dropping coal like mad.
Because one thing you have to remember is the economies of scale. As more and more companies leave the coal mining business because it's meaning that they're seeing the writing on the wall, that means coal gets more expensive.
Right.
And so,
which means that it happens even faster.
Right.
Now, this is fantastic. Why do we care about coal? First of all, it is a huge greenhouse gas emitter. It is also terrible for pollution-wise, so actual human health on a day-to-day, on a human time scale. And it means that charging your electric car now becomes even cleaner.
That's right.
It means that more and more of your electricity is going to be generated by renewable sources, which means that, every kilowatt hour of power that you put into your car is now even cleaner than it was the week before.
That's right. I just want everyone, if you have 20 minutes, to go watch this awesome TED Talk by Gwynne Shotwell. She is the president of SpaceX, and she had some amazing quotes this week, especially most people are interested in her quotes about how she works with Elon. I found that really interesting. She says there's no question that Elon is very aggressive on his timelines, but frankly, that drives us to do things better and faster. I think all the time and all the money in the world does not yield the best solution. And so putting that pressure on the team to move quickly is really important. So there's all sorts of great quotes in there about working with Elon, but she's also an amazing person who's been able to move SpaceX forward, and you really should go watch this TED Talk.
Absolutely.
So everyone's been emailing me this week talking about the new DAF truck, which will have 100 kilometers of range and 170 kilowatt hour battery.
So this is an electric truck, we
Yes.
should point out. I think that this is really good news. Obviously, a 100-kilometer range is not amazing.
No.
I think that a lot of people are going to, not get this truck mainly because of the range.
Yeah, it's only for urban and for short haul.
Right. I do think that this is a really good sign for electric trucking. It means that, enough people are convinced that electric trucks are a thing that they've gone and made one themselves. I think, again, that this will have a lot of different niche applications. I think that there's going to be a lot of places that, have a diesel truck and they're going to say, this thing is really expensive to maintain. We only need to drive it around the campus. Switching to something with 100 kilometers of range is more than enough range than we need. We have we can install charging capability, and the maintenance cost will simply be fantastic.
True.
So I think that there's going to be a lot of very small places switching, 1 or 2 trucks maybe over to something of this size. Obviously, I think the price is going to be a lot better than something like the Tesla Semi, which obviously is a long-distance hauler. I think that this is great. It's just a good sign. Maybe not necessarily anything that, a trucking company is going to buy, but for those niche applications where this can save, 80% of the operations cost, I think this is a no-brainer.
Here's another no-brainer. Tesla has built out this Powerpack in Terre Hills, Belgium. It's a 140 Powerpack batteries. It provides 18.2 megawatts of power. And here's the thing, it's 100 times faster than a fossil fuel power station. Now you might be asking, what's the big deal? That's not that much energy storage. But here's the thing, watch this video. So you can see that what happens is you've got to keep your grid running properly on 50 cycles in Europe or 60 cycles here. And when something drops and you need power quickly, it takes 100 times longer for a fossil fuel station to get up to speed and give you that power.
Right. And this past winter, Europe actually was lower than 50 hertz so consistently that a lot of clocks that rely on this consistent frequency were behind by like many minutes, like 6 minutes or something like that.
Yep.
Really interesting stuff, and something that a battery like this can fix. So I got a lot of messages about this Tesla crash in Utah where a Tesla driver was in autopilot and smashed into the back of a truck. I mean, this is ridiculous, isn't it?
Ridiculous that we're hearing about it.
Well, I mean, like, she smashed into the back of a truck.
Tesla's released some of the data from this crash, and they've shown that for 80 seconds before the crash, this driver did not have her hands on the wheel and she admitted, was looking at her phone. This is a 28-year-old driver in Utah. So,
oh, wait, so she survived?
Yep, she just broke her ankle.
So
going 60 miles an hour.
Wow.
I mean, take most cars driving 60 miles an hour into the back of a truck, and I think you'd be doing a lot worse than a broken ankle. Wow. So instead of the story being that the car is super safe and kept her relatively safe in a horrible accident.
Especially when she wasn't paying any attention.
Right. Now, here's the thing, people. You need to stop being complacent. These cars are not fully autonomous. They're level 2. This is an aid to a driver. This does not mean that you put it into autopilot and you forget what's going on.
Right.
You are paying full attention, please.
Right.
We do not want these stories to pop up for Tesla. We do not want you getting hurt. So you put it into autopilot.
Right. Seriously, if you have autopilot, even if you just drive a car, please do not text and drive. No. It is guaranteed to get you hurt.
Yes.
And even if you have autopilot, don't rely on it. I mean, yes, it's a wonderful feature, but again, if you are a Tesla driver and you have autopilot,
stay alert.
Please stay alert. Please do not become complacent. It is just things like this that are going to get you, I guess, a broken ankle.
Well, and keep in mind that we pass people every day, so do you, that are texting while driving. Right. So this person could have been dead. And the story should have been that by driving a Tesla, she's not dead.
Right.
New research from UBS predicts that U.S. autonomous vehicle revenue will reach $2.3 trillion with a T by 2030. 70% of that estimated revenue is expected to come from selling experiences to former drivers. Now, what does selling experiences mean?
Well, if you're no longer driving the vehicle that you're in, and let's say you don't necessarily need to own the vehicle that you're in, maybe you watch a movie, maybe you get a back massage, maybe you get your nails done or your hair done or go for therapy or something like that. I mean, you can do all of these things now while you are commuting to work.
So it's kind of like right now, if you're in the back of a cab, sometimes they have those little TV screens and they force you to watch some ads or you can watch TV.
Right.
Or if you're in an elevator, you watch a screen.
UBS thinks that $472 billion of that revenue is going to be in-car monetization. So selling ads to you while you were in the car. So yeah, we do see this in taxis all the time. Plastered ads. Sometimes there's even a television that's just constantly running a loop of ads and maybe the news story of the week. Obviously, you can get into, nicer, liveries and stuff like that where there aren't flashing ads at you all the time, but of course it's more expensive.
So that's interesting. So maybe in the future you'll subscribe to like Uber and there'll be a subscription that'll be paid for by another company that wants to sell you something. So you'll pay less, but that company will get to advertise to you or maybe even come and give you a demonstration while you're in the car.
Exactly. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone has heard of Cutco knives, right? The teenager, your son or daughter's friend or something comes over to your house with the knives and shows you can cut rope with it really well or something like that. Now that could be in a car, so instead of it, if people who are worried about all the truck drivers losing their jobs, which is something that's going to unfortunately happen, now instead of being a truck driver, maybe you're going to be an in-car salesman. So on the way to someone's work, you can be trying to sell them, something.
I just want to point this out to our viewers. I mean, there is going to be a shift here and whole new opportunities are going to open up. And this is one of them. I mean, you want to give guitar lessons? Give them in a car ride.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
And we're just coming up with these off the top of our heads. I would love to see some comments of services that you can provide in a car with no driver because now the driver can be doing something else.
That's right.
So I would love to see some comments down below of services, in-car services.
So the Guwahati railway station is in the capital city of Assam in India, and it's the first railway station in the country to be fully solar powered. The station handles around 20,000 passengers every day. This is a 700 kilowatt system, and it will save them about $100,000 a year. So the Indian Railway is currently the country's largest consumer of electricity. They spend about 18% of their budget every year on diesel fuel, and they plan to put up 5,000 megawatts of solar power capacity to meet around 25% of their energy needs through renewable energy by 2025. Now, July of last year, the Indian Railways rolled out the first set of train coaches with rooftop solar panels that powered the lights, the fans, and the information display systems inside. The coaches were used for suburban transit in New Delhi, and the railway estimates that each train with 6 solar-powered coaches could save around 21,000 liters of diesel every year.
That's fantastic.
So the EU is suing itself.
What?
There's a compliance limit of 40 micrograms of nitrogen oxide per cubic meter of air, and this has been a mandatory rule in the EU since 2010. But unfortunately, there's been more than 400,000 Europeans who die prematurely every year because of poor air quality.
Wow.
So the EU Commission is suing Germany for the dirty air in the inner cities in the European Court of Justice. Now, this move was necessary because the agreed air quality was not being met. And this isn't just happening in Germany. I found out that there are 12 other countries, including France, Hungary, Italy, Romania, and the United Kingdom, that have also been sued because they can't make these limits.
Wow.
Now, what's causing this problem?
Diesel cars and trucks, obviously.
So, I mean, it's causing the problem. What can they do about it?
So the first and pretty much the only thing they can do about it right now is just enforcing driving bans for people who drive diesel cars.
So you basically stop trucks and cars from driving in parts of the city, like inner parts of cities.
Right, and especially at certain times. If you can limit the NOx emissions within a certain area, it's somewhere where it will be concentrated, like in an inner city, that means that you can reduce the level of pollution in that area.
I think you're missing something, though. Diesel is clean.
No, it is not clean, and
That's what VW says.
well, there has been another defeat device found. This time in 60,000 Audi A6 and 7 TDIs, according to the German Federal Motor Transport Authority.
Well, that's Audi. That's not VW.
Well, who owns Audi?
Oh, VW does.
VW. So this is, I mean, I can't believe
Stop
that this
picking.
keeps...
That's just one little case. I think you should stop picking on them.
Okay, well, what about Porsche? Just a second ago, we reported on the Audis.
Yeah.
Well, now luxury SUV Porsche Cayenne and Macan, 60,000 of them are being recalled due to built-in defeat devices, which can lead to increased NOx emissions during operation, of course, instead of while they're being tested. So
That's Porsche.
another defeat device. And who owns Porsche?
Oh, VW does.
VW owns Porsche as well. So this is absolute insanity, and it is causing some pretty insane stuff to happen. Now, remember how we talked about that in Germany, you could not have a class action lawsuit. That is something, pretty...
Oh, class action lawsuits where a bunch of consumers can get together and have one big lawsuit against a company.
Right.
Oh, you have to... Yeah, in Germany, you have to do individual lawsuits.
Well, not anymore.
What?
Basically, people are so upset because this is, not only did this happen, Dieselgate happen, it's continuing to happen. We're continuing to find more and more defeat devices. So now, according to John Fechner, a spokesperson for the SPD parliamentary group, soon in Germany, consumers will be able to group their lawsuits together into one big lawsuit, a lot like a U.S. class action lawsuit, to make it easier for consumers to go after big firms. And this is a direct result of Volkswagen and their Dieselgate scandal.
Wow.
So people are so upset that they are changing the laws just so that they can better go after these companies. Because, again, it's very difficult for one individual to go after a giant corporation with tons of lawyers and stuff like that. But once you group up, it's very easy for a large group of consumers that got swindled or lied to or sold cars that polluted more than they said that they would, a way to actually combat big corporations that screwed them over.
And once electric cars are available in these markets, there's going to be no way that these people, I mean, even if these lawsuits don't work the way as planned, public sentiment is totally against these companies now. So they are not going to drive VW cars, Porsches, Audis anymore.
Right. There are so many people that I've heard in the comment section and just talking to people like out on the street who are like, yeah, I'm never going to buy a VW ever again. And that is a huge problem.
Japan will be leaving the diesel market in Europe. Nissan currently sells a wide range of diesel models in Europe, including SUVs. Nissan has decided to leave the diesel market in Europe.
Right. And Toyota is not planning to launch any new models of diesel-powered vehicles except for trucks.
And Subaru has also decided to withdraw from diesel car sales in Europe as well as Australia around fiscal 2020.
We have to bring it back to the 400,000 people who died prematurely in Europe because of poor air quality, and it is because of these cars. So, that is the reason for the regulation. It is people's health. It's something that I think we should all be getting behind, and it's something that it seems like we are all getting behind.
You know who else is getting behind it?
Who?
The Duke and Duchess of Sussex.
Who is that?
Harry and Meghan.
Oh.
They just got married, and they left Windsor Castle, and they left in what?
So apparently they left in a silver blue Jaguar E-Type Concept Zero, which was originally manufactured in 1968, and they converted it to electric power. So they drove away in an electric car.
Yes.
I think that is pretty awesome.
All right, it's time for the lightning round.
Here we go.
You know that 10% of Americans who traded in their cars last year did not replace them? This is according to a report in Motor Trend and Ipsos Reuters survey.
Wow.
I just want to show you something here. This is mind-bending if you think about it. That means that 10% of those people said, you know what? I don't need a car. Why do you think they didn't need a car?
I guess they got really good at walking.
Maybe, or bikes, or also ride-sharing.
I see. So they said, oh, I'll just take a Lyft or an Uber somewhere.
Yeah, so easy.
Elon was just elected as a fellow into the Royal Society, the oldest national scientific institution in the world. This was founded in 1660 by King Charles II. Elon is one of 50 new members and joins Isaac Newton, Charles Darwin, Michael Faraday, and Albert Einstein.
Elon mentioned in the Q1 earnings call that they have been able to reduce the amount of cobalt. Well, I have found some statistics to back that up. In 2012, Tesla was consuming on average 11 kilograms of cobalt per vehicle. In 2018, Tesla consumes just 4.5 kilograms of cobalt per vehicle. That's a 60% reduction in just 6 years.
Wow, that's fantastic.
So the IIHS has announced that the Tesla Model 3 has been given a superior rating for its front crash prevention. Can you explain what that means?
So this is the automatic emergency braking. They tested it at 12 and 25 miles an hour into basically what looks like the back of a car, and it stopped before the car, which means that it passes with flying colors.
And how about the headlights?
So the headlights, they said, were adequate. They said that, on the left-hand side of the car was worse than the right-hand side of the car. I know that this is IIHS and that they should know everything there is to know about cars, but I just want to postulate that, you can adjust the headlights individually.
Oh, the
heights.
Mm-hmm.
So like if the left was worse than the right, I wonder if they could have just adjusted it a little bit higher, or maybe that's something that should be done in all cars that are Model 3s.
And in a regular car, you adjust a headlight with a screwdriver,
Right. This is done in the software. You can do it while you're parked.
I don't recommend you do it yourself because you'll have a tendency to put them up too high, which looks good as a driver, but it can blind other drivers. I recommend you let your mechanic do that.
Yes, but I'm just saying, it seems like maybe they had that one a little bit too low or something.
We've been hearing about all these electric buses in China. Well, there's a pretty good story here for the U.S. Guess how many they just put in Washington, D.C.?
So in China, they have like 16,000.
Yep.
So maybe, I don't know, like 400.
14. But hey, you got to start somewhere.
You got to
right?
start somewhere. Okay.
So these are 14 new electric buses by Proterra, which is an American company. It's the Catalyst E2 bus, and this displaces more than 88,000 gallons of diesel per year and eliminates more than 243,000 pounds of CO2 emissions annually. Now, over their 12-year lifetime, the 14 Proterra buses will result in fuel and maintenance cost savings of more than $6 million.
That's
so
fantastic.
That's only 14 buses. So
if you have 400 buses,
yeah,
imagine the savings.
Yeah.
Right? So this year in China, they're expecting to sell 1 million EVs this year.
Just this year?
Just this year. Sales this year, January through April, are up 149% compared with the same period last year. So EVs are becoming more popular in China. I am very excited to hear this.
So what's this video we're watching here, Jesse? What's driving? What's going on?
So this is a Model 3 driving around a track, and you can see that it is really good. I mean, it's taking corners at like 50 miles an hour.
Is this like a professional driver?
This is Rudy Tanoff. He brought his dad's Model 3 to the Mid-Ohio NOR PCA.
Oh, so he's not a professional.
He's not a professional driver, but look at what it can do.
Wow.
I mean, it's I want to stress that the suspension on the Model 3 is just fantastic.
All right, it's time for our video contributor story. Now, remember, if you would like to submit a video contributor story, you can. Just contact me, and we'll talk to you about how you can do it. It's just basically a 2-minute story about pretty much anything that interests you from your part of the world. And here's the story this week from our friend Ben from Australia talking about the tiny Tesla house.
Hey everyone. The Tesla tiny house was continuing its tour around Australia and came to the capital, Canberra, today as of the 26th of April. It was in the middle of our biggest shopping centre, and heaps of people came and had a chat to the Tesla employee. He had a chance to show everyone the Tesla app with the awesome energy flow meter running from the panels to the house and battery, showing for both real houses and the tiny house powered off the Powerwall, explained the advantages of the battery and solar to many people, and gave people a sit in a Tesla where they could get a feel for the interior and the touchscreen interface. There were several people who signed up with a Powerwall and many who joined the email list, and it was a great way of getting the general public interested in not only an amazing car, but more importantly, the amazing energy solutions that Tesla offers with their Powerwalls and solar systems. I was informed that it should be in Sydney by the time Tesla Time News next airs. Keep up the great work.
That's so cool.
I know. I want one.
I know.
I mean,
We could tow one. You can tow one with the Model X or with the Semi.
that's true. You can tow a much bigger one with the Semi.
Or a whole string of houses. It could be a whole neighborhood. Tesla tiny neighborhood.
But I think it's a little bit more complicated in terms of driving dynamics. I think you're going to need to worry. It's a little bit more to worry about there. But anyway.
It's time for our Patreon bonus story of the week.
You are quite wrong, my friend. We are talking about Patreon bonus stories.
Oh, I forgot.
Many, many stories this week. We have so many stories. Please head over to patreon.com and check it out. We don't want you to miss it. You can support us for as little as $1 a month, and you can check out all of these stories. This is just 1 week's worth, and there's like, 5, 6 here. So definitely check that out. See you in a couple of seconds. All right, we are back from our Patreon stories.
A lot of them.
There was a lot of them. You can see the time has passed behind us. There were so many stories. And then we went and had a campfire, and then we came back. So we're back now, and we want to thank some of our wonderful Patreon patrons, because without them, we would not be able to continue to do this show, because editors are expensive, and we couldn't edit the show ourselves because we would kill each other.
And so these are patrons who give us $5 a month or more. And so I want to give a big shout out to JL Reyna,
Jesse Lev,
Anthony Liardi,
Harold Ploeg,
Tim Leask,
Eric Tim,
Peter Giorco,
Zilvinas Gavenas.
Thank you so much for supporting us the way you do. So it's time for Elon's tweet of the week. Elon tweeted, "Ford has had 3 CEOs in 4 years and no one even knows. But hey, Tesla hired some interns." So what's he talking about?
So Mark Camus and Matthew Lane, one is a CNA engineering grad and one is an MUN engineering student, both from Newfoundland, Canada. They were both working as interns on the manufacturing team at Tesla. They were going back and forth between the Fremont factory and Gigafactory 1 in Nevada to help the Model 3 production ramp. During the internship, Lane and Camus saw a problem with the gating system on one of the production lines at Gigafactory 1.
So they decided to take it upon themselves to fix it. Lane told CBC Radio, essentially what happened is we saw an opportunity to solve the problem. We came up with our own idea and actually sort of crashed the meeting with Elon ourselves and presented the idea. It took them about 6 weeks to implement their solution, and then they were sent to another project.
Camus said, literally at 10 a.m. Monday, the week we finished, we got a message saying, hey, head to Nevada to Gigafactory. A 5-hour car drive later, we arrived in Nevada with a whole new situation and problems to address.
So they apparently managed to solve the issue in just 2 days, which led them to meet Musk again. Lane said, within 2 days, we had solved this issue, got to speak to Elon himself, and this is kind of where he said, you guys did a good job, and you should stay. So Camus added, it was probably one of the most unnerving experiences ever. Here's the CEO of a company, and we're just 2 young interns. And he was like, basically, yep, you guys have to stay. So they were offered jobs. Their official title, I think, is problem solvers.
Professional problem solvers.
Yeah, in Tesla's manufacturing team. And so Camus is starting his official position right away, and Lane will be joining after his summer semester at MUN.
I just want to point out what an amazing meritocracy that is. I mean, to not just be like, that's really good, your manager's going to get a promotion or, a raise or something like that. To just be like, hey, you two, You two did a good job. You two are getting jobs.
Yeah, really cool jobs. Not like,
Right.
oh, you're now going to work in the mailroom.
Right. Now you are problem solvers because you're a problem solver.
Right.
I mean, if that is not the way to run a company, you let me know.
And this is from the CEO. What other company do you know of where the CEO is walking around and so involved in the day-to-day that he can see like, oh, you two are really bright, you're hired? Like, that's unheard of.
It's true.
That's why Tesla's fantastic. Mm-hmm. All right, it's time for community mail time.
Community mail time.
We are so lucky, Jesse, that we have some of the best viewers in the world.
Yeah.
And, you got to go check out Strom Garage because they did a tribute to us.
In English.
Yeah, because these are German YouTubers.
Right.
And they took the time to do first of all, they rebuilt our set. I mean, look at this. This is basically a carbon copy.
Down to the solar panel. They
Yeah.
got a solar panel.
I mean, they made fake microphones,
They did
fake mugs, like...
Amazing job.
And then a really wonderful episode. I urge you all to go watch and subscribe them because they're fantastic. And so even if you're English speaking, you can watch this episode. Just thank you so much, guys. It warmed our hearts. It made my whole week. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
And next we have Devin, who's got a screenshot of his Model X with the Chicago skyline. Go check out Devin. His Instagram is fantastic. And this shot, he offered it to everyone if you want to use it as a screensaver. All right, this week for our Patreon comment of the week, we posted, what are the biggest factors keeping you from getting a Model 3 right now? And here's a couple really cool comments we got. All right, so Ian said the ability to charge in an apartment or condo complex is what's stopping him. Brian says he's waiting for the pickup. Patrick says that he's waiting for all-wheel drive. Blake says price. I'll be looking to buy a used one in a few years. And Ruben and Robin are waiting for deliveries to Europe. So those sound like the pretty good reasons.
Those are all pretty good reasons, yeah, I would say.
And a lot of them are going to change.
Yep.
Which is good. Next, it's time for our Supercharger review videos. Don't forget that you can go to our website and see tons and tons of cool reviews. And if you have one, you can upload it there along with destination chargers. So let's see what we've got this week.
Hello Zach and Jesse, this is Peter out of Fluwelen in Switzerland. I'm here at the new Supercharger with 6 stalls and it's just next to a bowling bar, so you can play some bowling while you're waiting when your car is charging. You can also enter the restaurant with a code. The PIN code you can find in the app or on your navigation display in your car. You can just enter it and then the door will open. And here you have a nice sitting place. You can chill out in the seats. You can find the toilets over there.
Hey Zach and Jesse, this is Steve from Tokyo. Today I am at the ANA Intercontinental Hotel Tokyo Destination Charger. They have 2 stalls here, and I talked to the hotel manager. He said that this place is not specifically reserved for EVs or Teslas. Anybody can park, but at least they do put color cones here so that it doesn't get iced. But please do remember that if the parking lot becomes full, which is very rare that they said, they can park ice cars here. Amenity-wise, they have free internet. Just go to the front desk, ask for the passcode, and then they have toilet. They have great restaurants, cafes, whatnot. So all in all, I think it's 8 out of 10. Why 8? Because it costs you about $2 per 10 minutes parking here, and then Roppongi Supercharger is just up the hill, about 2 miles away. So I don't really see a practical point staying here for too long, paying money where you can just get a supercharger. So the place is great, but it's just that the supercharger is so close by that I don't see good use of this place unless you're staying here, of course. That's it from ANA Intercontinental Destination Charger. Bye.
All right, I love Burlington. I love Bernie Sanders. I love Tesla Superchargers. This is getting a 10. You know why? Because also, all those things, but also there's a healthy living store right here, and it's the most fabulous grocery store with organic, awesome food. So 10 out of 10.
It's getting a 10 because there's also a creek over there, and I just saw an otter. So it's getting a 10.
Yes!
It's getting a 10.
And also we just bumped into a fabulous Tesla employee who's putting up solar all over Vermont. So 10 out of 10.
Hey Zach and Jesse, Brian Seeley here at Springfield, Missouri. I'm here at a 8-stall Supercharger right off of I-44. You've got Macadoodles, which is a great liquor store with snacks, food, plenty of stuff to eat. This is a real big loud car town, farm trucks, dualies. So it was really amazing to see this here. Keep up the good work, Zach and Jesse. There's my Prius that I cannot wait to replace with my Model 3 as soon as I get it. Keep up the good work, guys. Bye.
Very cool.
Yes,
I'm
fantastic.
love to see those every week. So every week, Tesla is bringing online more and more superchargers. It's amazing. We've been doing this for 89 weeks now, and there hasn't been a single week where there was no
That's a
new
good point.
superchargers.
And this week, there's a lot of them.
Right. So
Let's get to it.
Let's get into it.
The 8 stall in Custer, South Dakota.
The 8 stall in Guarda, Portugal.
The 8 stall in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
The 6 stall in Warsaw, North Carolina.
The 10 stall in Danbury, Connecticut.
Number 210 in China. The 6 stall in Shanghai Landmark Center, China.
Number 398 in Europe is the 8 stall in Getafe, Spain.
The 7 stall in Estes Park, Colorado.
The 35 stall, and these are urban chargers, in Aventura, Florida.
And number 517 in the USA. Number 1,253 in the world is the 8 stall in Athens, Georgia.
Wow.
That was a lot this week. Again, these are all completely new superchargers.
So I want to remind everyone that if you're going to be buying a Model S or X, please consider using our referral code. You'll get free supercharging for life, and you'll get a chance to ride in the Tesla Roadster if you live anywhere in the US, Canada, or Europe. So don't forget to use that.
And I just also want to remind people that we have a Model X. We've had one for quite a while, and we have made a playlist of videos that we've made about the Model X. So if you haven't checked it out already, you can check it out. It should be over there. If we make a card, Brent and Bobby, make a card, put it right there. Perfect. We've got like 35 different videos in there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, road trips, all things about the car. You're going to love it. Thank you, everybody, for watching this week. We really need your support, so don't forget to go to Patreon, and don't forget to subscribe and like the video.
yeah, liking the video does some kind of magic, which allows more people to see the video. It's, I don't know why they do it that way.
Subscribing
I don't know why
is
you
awesome,
have to.
though.
I feel like watching the video should make it seem like more people should see the video, but apparently you have to hit the like button. So do that, and good things will happen, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know why they have to put karma or juju magic into this.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Now
Now
you
you
know.
know.